Well, a curfew is in place in parts of the Indian city of Nagpur after violence broke out earlier this week over demands to remove the tomb of a 17th century Mughal emperor. Vehicles were set on fire and more than a dozen police officers were injured. Let's get more on this with our South Asia Bureau Chief, Meghna Bali. Meghna, good to have you on the program. Firstly, what triggered the violence in Nagpur and why has this centuries-old tomb become a flashpoint?
Yeah, hi Girish. Look, what we've seen is clashes erupt amongst the Hindu and Muslim communities in the city of Nagpur, as you said, in the western part of the country. And this has happened because, right-wing Hindu nationalist groups had, put out protests demanding the demolition of the tomb of a 17th century Muslim Mughal ruler named Aurangzeb. And, this is during this time, what we've heard is as these protests were occurring, what's been, a religious symbol has been desecrated, and what people are referring to there is the Quran. And this has absolutely set off massive violence across this city. We've seen 34 police officers injured, 5 civilians injured, buildings and vehicles damaged, and 50 people arrested. And, this sort of flashpoint has come about because Aurangzeb is a loathed figure amongst Hindu nationalists. Even 300 years after his death, he was known as a brutal killer who persecuted Hindus, though some historians do say these stories are exaggerated. But, hundreds of years later, it really has stirred up emotions in this city.
Yeah, and the Maharashtra chief minister there, he blamed a recent Bollywood movie for stoking tensions. Meghna, what can you tell us about that?
That's right. Look, religious sentiments were absolutely inflamed after the release of this action thriller named Chava in these last few weeks. Now, this has become a Bollywood blockbuster. It's a film about a Hindu warrior who fought and lost a war against this Mughal ruler, Aurangzeb. This film features a very graphic torture scene. And what we've seen happen is, millions of people, hundreds of thousands of people going to watch this film really upset by this depiction, ripping theatre screens down, becoming very aggressive, very violent. It's been, this film has been absolutely lambasted by critics for stoking communal tensions, for its divisive narrative. And, the Chief Minister Fadnavis has pointed to this as one of the reasons that, tensions have been inflamed in the last few days. But it's also sort of worth noting that there has been an opposition politician, at the beginning of the month who, was sort of found praising Aurangzeb, and this has really, thrown, a trigger amongst these communities here.
And of course, we know that there has been a curfew in place in those parts of Nagpur where the violence occurred. Has that helped to quell the tensions there?
Yeah, look, we say these clashes happen on Monday and into Tuesday, and there's been a curfew imposed, since yesterday and into today, where, gatherings of 4+ people are banned. Security around Aurangzeb's tomb has been tightened, and tensions are really high right now. Politicians are calling for calm. They're really condemning this violence, but the security forces are doing everything they can to really cool things down, and we haven't seen sort of further violence since then, but, tensions are still high.
And Meghna, what's been the response from the local and federal leaders there in India?
Look, it's worth noting that, the BJP, Narendra Modi's party, the Prime Minister, it's a Hindu nationalist government. The Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Devendra Fadnavis, he's a Hindu nationalist himself. He's sort of come out and expressed sympathy for the campaign to demolish Aurangzeb's tomb. And he's also said, it was unfortunate that the government had to protect this tomb despite Aurangzeb's, this historical figure's, history of persecution against Hindus. We've had the Prime Minister Modi in the past talk about Aurangzeb and his persecution of Hindus, and it's really inflamed tensions. You have to remember, there's rights groups and human rights activists that have talked about, the violence against minority groups and against Muslims under the 10 years of Mr. Modi's rule. And this incident is seen as just another in the long list of these last 10 years. The BJP government, vehemently denies this and says it's for all people of India from all religious backgrounds. But what we've seen in the last few months, especially, is a sustained campaign of Hindu right-wing groups, laying claim, and attacking mosques and Muslim places of worship. And unfortunately, this is just the latest in this string of incidents.
Okay, Meghna Bali, thank you so much for giving us an update on that story. Thank you.
Thank you.